become one of the most anticipated lists before each and every CFL season. Fans, analysts, players alike eagerly await the release of the top 50 list as it ignites passionate debates about who truly deserves to be called the best player in Canadian football. And this year, a number of firsts, including who was selected #1 overall. Hello, Canada, and welcome to the Top 50 Players Show on TSN. Kate Burness alongside Dave Naylor, Davis Sanchez, Jim Barker. I love this show. I meant it when I'm saying the debates. We will go around the country, and people will be talking about this all season long. No one works harder on this show than you, Dave Naylor. And as I said off the top, there were a number of firsts this year. Yeah, there was, and I think we get a sort of a snapshot of why the Canadian Football League is such a difficult league to predict when you start to look at this list and see the movement of players on it, including 5 of the top 9 that were not on the list anywhere a year ago. And we see some other movements as well. You know, the other thing we see a little bit this year is maybe not as quarterback heavy a list as we do some years. And I think that was reflective, again, of other players at other positions that got a lot of attention last season. Yeah, I think one of the things to keep in mind is that this list, David, that you chair and in charge of is about the best players in the league, not the most valuable. Not the most valuable. It's not fantasy football. Right. Who are the best players today? And that's where I think the quarterback situation, some would argue some of the things, because a quarterback, if we did most valuable, there would be 9 quarterbacks in the top 10, most likely.
Well, obviously the GMs weren't involved in this because the highest paid defensive player in the league didn't make the top 50 in Robbie Smith. So obviously it was media people who, you know, we throw darts and we come up with our top 50. Speak for yourself, JB. I have an Excel spreadsheet that I'm looking at each and every night coming up with this. Now let's see how we get there, because you know what? We get asked all the time, who makes this list? How do the numbers work? Well, here you go. It is a panel of experts that each submit their top 40 list. You must select a minimum number of players from each position, and players are given a points total from 50 to 1. It is time now to reveal players 50 through 31.
Number 50, Pierre-Olivier Lestage, offensive lineman, Montreal Alouettes. Number 49, Jamal Peters, defensive back, Hamilton Tiger Cats. Number 48, David Beard, offensive lineman, Edmonton Elks. Number 47, Deshaun Amos, defensive back, Hamilton Tiger Cats. Number 46, Drew Brown, quarterback, Ottawa Red Blacks. Number 45, Niles Morgan, linebacker, Edmonton Elks. Number 44, CJ Rivas, defensive back, Saskatchewan Roughriders. Number 43, Jameer Thurman, linebacker, Saskatchewan Roughriders. Number 42, William Stanback, running back, Ottawa Red Blacks. Number 41, Damon Webb, defensive back, Calgary Stampeders. Number 40, Darnell Sankey, linebacker, Montreal Alouettes. Number 39, Trey Ford, quarterback, Edmonton Elks. Number 38, Martez Ivey, offensive lineman, Edmonton Elks. Number 37, Logan Furland, offensive lineman, Saskatchewan Roughriders. Number 36, Casey Sales, defensive lineman, Hamilton Tiger Cats. Number 35, Brandon Revenberg, offensive lineman, Hamilton Tiger Cats. Number 34, Mustafa Johnson, defensive lineman, Montreal Alouettes. Number 33, Gary Peters, defensive back, BC Lions. Number 32, Janarian Grant, return specialist, Toronto Argonauts. Number 31, Matthew Betts, defensive lineman, BC Lions.
The biggest debate in that group of players had to be Trey Ford, the Elks quarterback, coming in at the 39 spot. But, Chezzy, you had him ranked way higher on your list.
Yeah, I have him at 8. Wow. I mean, if we're going to talk about, you know, the best players in this league, he has to be. Now, has he put up the numbers and had the length of the career of some others? No, and that's probably why some are going to say, you know, he has to prove it. I'll say this real fast. There were 23 guys on the list this year that were not on it last year. What I hope coming from that is that guys are now being chosen on merit and not on reputation. A lot of times, media folks are looking at a name they recognize and they're putting them on a list. I think this year more than ever, it's merit that these guys are being chosen and not necessarily reputation.
Look, I did not put Trey Ford on my top 40 list of the ballot. Now, and look, that does not mean I'm not a Trey Ford fan. I agree with what the Elks have done, giving him an opportunity, giving him some leash, declaring him the starter. But based on the body of work so far, I don't think he's a top 50 player in the league. And I did have, ready for this, Cody Fajardo on my list. Cody Fajardo was the betting favorite for most outstanding player until mid-October last year. He's a top 50 player on the league based on what he's done. Look, I hope that by the end of the season, Trey Ford is in my top 10, but I didn't put him in my top 40 on my ballot this year.
Well, again, you Trey Ford, you got Drew Brown was in this group, but this group of 31 to 50, this is about the linemen. They're like the dirty 19. I mean, you got offensive linemen, you got defensive linemen, you got linebackers. I mean, people who are defensive backs who will occasionally hit too. I mean, you got guys there that are making their living playing football, not back and doing the great fun thing. They're playing football, getting their noses bloodied. So I love this group, this 19 group, because that's what it emphasizes.
Honestly, Jim, I'm just shocked that you didn't have every offensive lineman as your top 50.
Oh, I love the defensive linemen and those linebackers.
Both linemen, not everywhere.
Oh my goodness!
I can ask a question, David. When we look at, you mentioned what he's done for what Cody Fajardo has done,
right?
And that's a different scenario. Like,
but I mean, he wasn't like I say, he didn't have a bad year.
No,
he had a very good season.
I'm not debating that.
Yeah.
I'm just debating. Everyone looks at it differently. Do you think that Trey Ford is a better player right now, or what he's done? And I think everyone probably would have voted a bit differently.
If I had to win a game the first month of the season, I'd go with Cody Fajardo, but I fully expect with Trey Ford getting the leash and the experience and the opportunity to refine his game and grow, he may be a better player by the end of the season.
If you had to win a game the first month of the season, you would take Cody Fajardo over Trey Ford now?
Call Glenn Suter.
Well, call me.
You think at home that you're just debating this list? You should hear the three of them.
That's what makes it great.
That's what makes it so fantastic. All right, we're just getting warmed up on this top 50 show right now. And coming up, we have all kinds of receivers in the mix. Who will be 30 through 11? It's coming up next. Well, it is finally here, the 2025 CFL season. We will be on the road in Regina for the opener as the Rough Riders welcome the Red Blacks to Mosaic. And then we will be in Montreal for Friday Night Football as they welcome the Argonauts. Finally, it's the doubleheader on Saturday. Time now to keep the countdown going. Here are players 30 through 11.
Number 30, Marc-Antoine Dequoy, defensive back, Montreal Alouettes. Number 29, Dalton Schoen, receiver, Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Number 28, Stanley Bryant, offensive lineman, Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Number 27, Lorenzo Malden, defensive lineman, Ottawa Red Blacks. Number 26, Tyson Philpott, receiver, Montreal Alouettes. Number 25, Reggie Begelton, receiver, Calgary Stampeders. Number 24, Trevor Harris, quarterback, Saskatchewan Roughriders. Number 23, Nick Anderson, linebacker, Edmonton Elks. Number 22, Dejon Allen, offensive lineman, BC Lions. Number 21, Falarin Arimolade, defensive lineman, Calgary Stampeders. Number 20, Tim White, receiver, Hamilton Tiger Cats. Number 19, Kadeem Carey, running back. Number 18, Justin Hardy, receiver, Ottawa Red Blacks. Number 17, Eugene Lewis, receiver, Ottawa Red Blacks. Number 16, Ryan Hunter, offensive lineman, Toronto Argonauts. Number 15, Adarius Pickett, linebacker, Ottawa Red Blacks. Number 14, Kenny Lawler, receiver, Hamilton Tiger Cats. Number 13, Jake Serezna, defensive lineman, Edmonton Elks. Number 12, Willie Jefferson, defensive lineman, Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Number 11, Chad Kelly, quarterback, Toronto Argonauts.
Receivers leading the way on the top 50 list this year with 9, then QBs with 8. How about the love for the O-lineman, JB? 8 apiece, not too shabby. Apologies, by the way, to special teams with just 1 nod. But all eyes there were on Kadeem Cash-and-Carry, who was released by the Toronto Argonauts, but he ends up being the 19th player on this list. But Dave, this isn't the first time we've seen a player released and then still be a high ranking.
No, and I'll tell you, specifically this, I think the position has a lot to do with it. We talk a lot about how running backs is the most vulnerable position in professional football. There's a lot of good athletes at the position, and once your age starts with 3, teams are generally looking for a reason to replace you. So Kadeem Carey gets released in training camp. They've got a young running back, Mayan Williams, who had 825 yards rushing one season at Ohio State. He had an injury. That's probably why he's not in the National Football League. They're going to take advantage of younger, fresher legs. They've also got Deontay McMahon. Thank you for the Toronto Argonauts for the pronunciation clarification on that one. We used to refer to him as Deontay McMahon. But, yeah, they're going to go with 2 younger guys. And again, I think that's something that every running back deals with. Could Kadeem Carey be a good back again this season somewhere else? Absolutely. Could be a plug-and-play type of player. But every other team is still trying to keep their running backs young as well.
Hey, we've been seeing this for years. There's no other league like the CFL where you could be an all-pro guy and the next year be out of the league. It only happens in the CFL, but it does happen. I look at number 11, and Chad Kelly at 11 is a travesty. Chad Kelly, I had Chad Kelly at 4. I believe he's the 5th quarterback. There's no way in the world that Chad Kelly is the 5th best quarterback in this league right now. How about this? Chad Kelly, in the games he played, he averaged over 300 yards passing. He carried that offense. Not only did he average over 300 passing, guys, but he's a dual threat. All the other quarterbacks that we like that make plays with their legs and can extend, Chad can also do that, but he just chooses to be a pocket passer. So for whatever reason, I could probably guess a few, Chad Kelly is a lot lower than he's supposed to be. 11 for Chad Kelly's a miss.
Well, a lot of it might have to do with that injury, the severity. A broken ankle on a quarterback, you don't see that very often. The severity of that injury, is he going to miss? Yeah, he's cleared. They won't put him on the 6th game because then he can't practice. I'm guessing he's going to be there 3 games at least to get himself ready to go. But he drops from 5 to 11. I would say a lot of that is, you're right, a play on the field. How he plays deserves to be higher, but that injury is a big question mark. Dalton Schoen went from number 4 to 29. He misses a whole season.
I think, injuries is a really tough thing to factor in and try and anticipate this. I'll give you 2 players that I had in my top 10 that are both in the 20s. Tyson Philpott in Montreal and Dalton Schoen in Winnipeg. Both of them suffered season-ending injuries, and yet I still think they're top 10 players in the league.
I don't know, too much agreeing on this segment. I agree with all of you and everything you're saying. I think
you want to go back to Trey Ford and Cody Fajardo?
No. That ship sailed. Let's move on, shall we? All right, don't go anywhere. We're inching closer to revealing our number 1 player for 2025. Next, we are into the top 10, where it took a final ballot to break a tie between a couple of star quarterbacks. Taking a look at the team-by-team breakdown, there are a 3-way tie between the Elks, the Tiger Cats, and the Red Blacks. Each team had 7 players on the top 50 list. Very well balanced overall, but Calgary with just 3. One of those 3, of course, Vernon Adams, who is featured in our top 10 through 4 players.
Number 10, Zach Collaros, quarterback, Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Collaros, end zone shot. Dembski got it. Touchdown, Winnipeg.
The Bombers are saying, go ahead and score a touchdown. We're just going to come back and score another one anyway.
Number 9, Tyrell Ford, defensive back, Edmonton Elks.
Far side, intercepted. Ford will take it away.
Great job by Tyrell Ford at corner. Every week you just see him improving.
Number 8, Vernon Adams Jr., quarterback, Calgary Stampeders.
Adams to the end zone again, drops it in there. Big strike from Vernon Adams Jr.
Changing teams. He's got a chip on his shoulder now. He's got a reason to play. He's got purpose.
Number 7, Nathan Rourke, quarterback, BC Lions.
Down the field, has a man, touchdown. Rourke strikes again.
Okay, I'm saying it now. Nathan Rourke is back.
Number 6, Justin McInnis, receiver, BC Lions.
Looks to the end zone, wide open, got it. Touchdown BC as McInnis hauls it in.
First BC Lion to win the CFL receiving title since G. Simon in 2007.
Number 5, Wynton McManus, linebacker, Toronto Argonauts.
Close call, Wynton McManus, touchdown Argos.
The best middle linebacker in the game. I don't think we'd argue that.
Number 4, Tyrese Beverett, linebacker, Montreal Alouettes.
In RQ, down the sideline, Tyrese Beverett intercepted.
This is a guy who I think has been the most outstanding defensive player. Impactful in so many different ways.
If you want to know how tricky this list gets, are you ready for this? The final ballot determined the order of Vernon Adams Jr. and Nathan Rourke. VA goes first and then Rourke. But my goodness, I mean, it doesn't get any closer than that, Jim.
Well, I got asked on a Football Friday podcast last week by a fan, who's going to have the better year, Vernon Adams in Calgary or Nathan Rourke in BC? And it stumped me. And I rarely get stumped. But the more I thought about it, I felt like Vernon Adams is going to fit in Calgary and what Dave Dickinson does a little better than maybe Nathan Rourke will in BC. He wants to run more of getting the ball vertical. Now, they came out in the preseason game. He goes 8 for 8 in the first half, throwing a lot of quick game and doing a lot of the things that he does well. How long is Buck Pierce going to continue doing that before he says, the heck with this? This is not how we did it in Winnipeg. We threw bombs to Lawler, and we scored lots of touchdowns. So I think when they go to that kind of offense, it's going to be a lot tougher for Nathan. And I just think Vernon's going to be a great fit in Calgary.
Well, Nathan Rourke is looking to throw bombs. He's going to be looking for Justin McInnis this season. Justin McInnis, number 6 on our list, not ranked a year ago. And I remember the conversation at this time last year was Justin McInnis had been a bit of a super sub on that BC offense. And now that he was going to be a mainstay, could he elevate to justify, being in that role? He certainly did. I mean, leading the league in receiving. And I say, one of the things looking at projecting Rourke this year, when he was there in 2022, they didn't have Justin McInnis. And, he's got a different crew of receivers than were there the last time around. And I think him getting chemistry with Justin McInnis this year will go a long way to dictating what kind of season Nathan Rourke can have.
Yeah, Justin McInnis absolutely elevated and is deserving of being on this list. I think he's high, and I would swap. You look at Kenny Lawler is 14th. I look at production. Justin McInnis' production, he deserves to be there. But if I look at who puts more pressure on a defense, him or Kenny Lawler, I would say most defensive coordinators don't want to see Kenny Lawler. That's just my opinion. One other one I look at, Tyrell Ford. We're looking at corners now. A field corner. I have Tyrell Ford at number 3, and that's because all season long, Jordan Younger left him alone, and this man produced. In the CFL, that's one of the hardest positions in the league, and it's not what it used to be. With the hash marks move, the field corner is almost identical to the boundary, and if you flop formations and go 2-by-3 and leave that guy alone with a receiver who will now likely have a waggle, that is a tough job. And if you watch film and what Winnipeg did and how J.Y., he left him alone out there. And time again, he produced. He's got to be a top 5 guy. That's a miss.
He is a very, very confident player.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you can see it in his play.
Over and over again.
Do you know he told me at sit-downs this year, too, he can be a wide receiver? Like, he can do both. And I was like, well, can they run a package? Or are we going to see something interesting?
Well, now,
they probably won't.
Now he might be too confident.
That's where I was going with the confidence.
There's a line.
I mean, I would love to see it personally if he is going to portray that much confidence. But needless to say, we are finally at the top 3. Will Brady Oliveira, Bo Levi Mitchell, or Roland Milligan be crowned champion of the prestigious list? We find out next. Well, the Toronto Argonauts are once again the favorite to win it all over at FanDuel, followed by the Bombers as a close second choice. The FanDuel traders told us that Toronto and Winnipeg are the 2 most popular bets to win it all this season. Montreal, Saskatchewan, Ottawa round out the top 5 choices to win the Grey Cup. The Stampeders have the longest odds at 24-1. Back to the countdown now in players 1 through 3.
Number 3, Bo Levi Mitchell, quarterback, Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Bo Levi on fire. Looking for his 5th here into a tight window.
has not lost the ability to throw the home run ball, that's for sure.
Number 2, Roland Milligan, defensive back, Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Down the field, intercepted. Who else? Roland Milligan. Oh, Roland Milligan has done it again.
He was nominated for 3 awards, MOP, defense, and special teams. That's a special player.
And number 1, Brady Oliveira, running back, Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Oliveira's the guy who's going to show up all over the highlight reels.
Gets it down to Oliveira. He does a whole lot more with it. Brady Oliveira, touchdown!
He won MOP. He won the top Canadian.
When you look at Brady Oliveira, he's got literally everything that you would want to have in a running back.
Brady Oliveira is the first running back and Canadian to be named top player. 4 Canadians, by the way, in the top 10. That is a record. If you want to hear Brady's reaction to be naming number 1, you can head over to tsn.ca right now as he joined our John Liu. And 9 players received first place votes. That is the most ever. I think it just speaks to the talent in the league right now because, my goodness, this was a tight race to say the least. And Ches, I know that you had Milligan, and Jim and Dave, you both had Brady. I would have had Brady, but why Milligan is number 1 for you?
It's the position. You play defensive back in a position where the more talent you have, the better you are, the less opportunity you have to impact the game. This guy was impactful every single game. Guys went at him. He continuously impacted the game for his team, still put up these numbers. That's the reason I go Roland Milligan. We might not see a defensive performance like this in our lifetime. This was incredible. The fact he didn't win, I think, is a travesty. This man, 8 interceptions. He led the league, 5th in total tackles, 5th in defensive plays, top in special teams. I mean, this guy, as Milt was saying on that Roland, he is the MOP nominee, defensive and special team nominee in a position that's almost impossible to impact the game when you're a player.
Well, thank goodness there's no defensive back bias in your in your response there. But I've actually picked Brady to be number 1 because at the end of the game, he's so crucial. But Bo Levi Mitchell was not rated last year. He wasn't even in the top 50, and I had him as number 2. Now, he finished number 3, but he put up incredible numbers. I was at Ticat practice this year, watching them practice, and he is throwing dimes, yet he threw 2 interceptions. At the end of practice, Milanovic ripped him in front of the team, and he came to me and he said, it's great when you can take the best player in the league and rip his ass in front of his teammates.
Setting the tone for the season. I had Brady Oliveira at number 1, and, you know, the reason for this, for me, is as Brady Oliveira goes, so go the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Think of their season last year with the slow start, the 0-4 start, and Brady Oliveira doesn't really have it getting going. Then just sort of quietly, the same way the Bombers were kind of off the map as Grey Cup favorites, Brady Oliveira wasn't seen as a real candidate to win the MOP. They start quietly racking up the runs, the wins. Brady Oliveira starts racking up the yards, and ultimately that consistency that he brought them, you know, through the final 3 quarters of the schedule was what made the difference. He wins the rushing title. Shout out to Canadian running backs here. I got to mention this. Last season, Brady Oliveira, it was the 9th time in the last 12 seasons that a Canadian won the CFL rushing title. Hadn't happened for 23 years. Orville Lee, way back in the late 80s before that. But really, that shows you the evolution of that position.
And
Oliveira
best players are playing running back.
No
best
question.
player, regardless of nationality.
Agreed. And you know what? I think we should redo this list halfway through the season because that's how unpredictable the CFL is, and then we'll all look like geniuses. In the meantime, if you have any hate mail, you can send it directly to Dave Naylor, who is fully responsible for the top 50 list.